Now we are dealing with verse 39 and 40. Verse 39, even if it were the nature of the childish to cause harm to other beings, it would still be incorrect to be angry with them, for this would be like begrudging fire for having the nature to burn. And verse 40 reads, and even if the fault were temporary, in they who are by nature reliable, it would still be incorrect to be angry, for this would be like begrudging space for allowing smoke to arise in it. So, verse 39, even if it were the nature of the childish, Shantideva, in the other Shantideva is not saying, bringing harm or, inflicting harm upon others is the very nature of the childish. He is not saying. What he uses is, if it were the nature of the childish to cause harm to other beings. So that means, bringing harm to other beings, or making other beings unhappy in any way, directly or indirectly, is not the nature of the childish. It's not the such kind of behavior. Behavior is not the childish nature of the ordinary people. However, if bringing a harm, causing harm to other beings is the very nature of the childish, then it is pointless to get angry towards the childish. It would be like it is like getting angry or getting annoyed when touching the fire. Then it is like getting annoyed when touching the fire. It is pointless, and it doesn't make any sense to getting angry with the fire, because the very nature of the fire is burning. So it's like you're putting a hand in the icy cold water and then saying, oh, it's very cold. It doesn't make sense, because the very nature of the icy water is coldness. So it's like this. So otherwise, if it's not the so it's the author is trying to say the childish causing harm to other beings is not the nature. Now here author used nature, because if it is the very nature, then we cannot change. Because we cannot change because we cannot change the fire into fire. We cannot make the fire as into the cold. When we touch fire, we get burnt. We feel hot. We don't feel cold. Because why? Because cold is not the nature of the fire. And what is the nature of the fire? The hot is the very burning. The burning quality and the hotness quality is the nature of the fire. In which case we cannot do much, because it's the very nature. So if the sentient beings, if bringing causing harm towards other sentient beings is the very nature of the childish, then we cannot do much. We cannot change, because it's the very nature. It's very nature. So it's not surprising to see, surprising to see the childish causing harm, towards others, because it's the very nature of the childish. this. And now this is verse 39. It would be incorrect to be angry with them. It would still be incorrect. It is very incorrect. It is really incorrect. We cannot change the very nature. What is the nature of the wind? The nature of the wind is moving. We cannot change that. At conventional level, at conventional reality, we cannot change. But maybe through some supernatural or powers, we can do in a different way. We can present the fire in a different way. But at conventional reality, we cannot change. Then those nature things. What is the quality of the bitter? What is the nature of the bitter medicine? Bitterness. Bitterness is the very nature of the nature of the bitter medicine. Bitterness is the very quality of the bitterness. So like this nature we cannot change much. Verse 40. And even if the fall were temporary, if in they who are by nature reliable, it would still be incorrect to be angry, for this would be like begrudging space for a lump of smoke to arise in it. Now, however, if the faults, here the faults means those disturbing conceptions or harmful emotions, those kind of problematic emotions were adventitious, temporary, then they are reliable. They are not reliable. Temporary in they who are by nature reliable. So temporary means not reliable. It not reliable. Whereas on the other hand, if the very whereas on the other hand, if the very nature of the sentient being is general nature, now it would be like it follows that when seeing the smoke in the air, smoke in the space, and then blaming the smoke, then blaming the space, not the smoke. It is like this. Because the false, these disturbing conceptions, and if the disturbing conceptions were temporary, and those kind of problematic emotions, we do not need to make any effort. They come. We don't need any training. These are, they come automatically. Even the small travel issue, make you angry. Small issues make you angry. Because we are much habituated with these emotions. Whereas on the other hand, the positive mind, the positive states of mind, the positive qualities of the mind, these unless we make some effort or make some kind of progress, unless we train in it, this won't come naturally. This won't come automatically. And it is through training that these positive qualities mind can be developed, can be progressed. But the very temporal, the disturbing emotions are temporary. It means temporary, adventitious. Means these can be transformed. These can be negative emotions, can be reduced. And then whether we are able to reduce these destructive emotions or problematic emotions, that is another question that demands the philosophical issues. Now, at least what concerns, what matters is whether we are able to reduce these defilements. And then here use the false word temporary. Of course, the false are temporary. Disturbing conceptions are adventures, temporary. Temporary itself states that the disturbing emotions can be separated from our mental continuum. Now, how can we know that the mental problems, the mental kind of the disturbing emotions can be separated from the mind, very nature of the mind? And so here temporary means adventures. How do we know that mental disturbing emotions and problematic emotions are temporary and they can finally be separated from the mental continuum? How do we know this? So they can be separated. For example, our mind is like very clear, like sky, the sky is overcasted by the shadow, by the clouds. The clear sky. The clear sky is, and then shadowed by the clouds, thick clouds, black clouds. But the very nature of the cloud but the very nature of the sky is very clear, and the very nature of the water, muddy water, is very clear. The very nature of the muddy water is very clear. As the dust subsided, we see the clarity of the water. So this is the same with the mind, same with our mind. And then, for example, when we see some kind of attractive or beautiful flower, first we see this. Now after 10 days, this flower gets old. There is no kind of distractions. We don't see any kind of, we don't, see any qualitative, attractive quality in that, flower. In the same way as we did see in the first day, because our mind already changed. And the mind is, already changed. And so, that means, as soon as antidotes developed in the mind, the things, opposing forces get, diminished. And also, one thing is, how do we know? So here, when we use, and if the false were temporary, here the false are temporary. Not only temporary, it advantageous. It's, they can be something separated from the mind. And now, in what sense its disturbing emotions are temporal and advantageous? Because there are two ways of interpretation. There are two interpretations regarding the defilements as advantageous. Defilements are advantageous and they can be separated from the mind. That means the clarity of the nature of the mind. The mind is, every mind possesses the cognitive nature. It can, it has cognitive quality, cognitive nature, and also it possesses clarity nature. And this clarity nature is, pervades to all the state of mind, all the consciousness. And this clarity of the clarity of nature of the mind and the cognitive clarity nature of the mind, the pollutants, the stains, the defilements are not affected, or these distant conceptions have not polluted the very nature of the mind, very clarity nature of the mind. This is number one, why the afflictions are temporal. And the second one is the very mode of the apprehension. For example, in the case of the wisdom which realizes impermanent, which realizes emptiness, and this state of positive, especially the wisdom, those kind of, wisdom aspects of the path. Wisdom realizes emptiness, the impermanent, and their mode of apprehension is not polluted. It's not tainted or polluted by, again, defilements. So this is what makes the so this is what can be understood as defilements as temporal and advantageous. And they can be finally separated from our mind stream, But when we talk about separating the defilements or the problematic emotions or destructive emotions from our mind totally, that is, again, it takes time. But then at least can we minimize, or can we really reduce these defilements? Then that is then that is very possible, and that can be very possible, because maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 6 years. Now, how can we know that we at least make certain progress? Because before we study something, for example, before we study some teachings, we have some problem, and then we study some kind of for example compassion, love, like these things, and then we study, and then some transformation takes place, and then we transform we study, and then the wisdom gained through study is transformed into the wisdom, transformed into the contemplative wisdom, and in which case our conviction becomes greater, our conviction becomes a little stable. As we now move on to the third level, which is the wisdom gained through meditation, and at that level becomes very powerful. The conviction becomes very powerful. And so through this way we can tell that destructive emotions can be reduced, can be minimized. And So this is, we can tell it from one's own experiences, one's own experience. Now the question is, now if these, now what is the very nature of the, now this being the case. Now the most important thing is that we all know, we all see. So far we are always, coming into contact with all the physical things. Now in the case of the mind, the so-called mind, which is very kind of interesting and also very interesting, as well as which is the your own creator. Your mind is your own creator. So it is your mind which makes you good person, which makes you either bad person, or which makes your own identity. And this mind, we cannot see, we cannot touch, but we do experience this mind. We do experience mind. Now we do experience this mind, and now the clarity nature, the mind does possess clarity nature. How do we reveal? How do we unfold this clarity nature of the mind? So this cannot be presented in theoretical way, but rather one can do it in meditation, formal meditation. So so clarity nature of the mind can be kind of experienced only at a meditational level by trying to cease all the conceptions of the past, and then trying to cease all the anticipations of the future, and then trying to abide at the present moment. And then as one prolong the duration, then gradually the clarity nature of the mind, one really experiences this clarity nature of the mind. But then it is not surprising to see the clarity nature of the mind, because all those beings many of the beings in the formless realm, they already because they only experience experiential level, they experience the mind, the clarity of the mind at experiential level, because they have no form, and so what they do experience is the mind at experiential level. By then, while abiding on this, placing one's while nakedly encountering with the clarity nature of the mind, in addition, one then recite other prayers, one then do other form of meditation, then becomes much powerful. So like this. For this would be like begrudging space for allowing smoke to rise in it, and if that. So here the disturbing emotions, all this does not come from without causes and conditions. Without causes and conditions. For example, we do see in this also in the past history, we do see a lot of ruthless dictators. They kill whole lot of people, kill many people. These people develop hatred, anger, and they kill. They have courage, and they have courage to kill millions of people. They take a delight, maybe to some extent, some may even take delight in the killing. So where do these destructive emotions come from? Where do this anger come from? For like Hitler, Stalin, Mao Zedong, and maybe to some extent, maybe Osama bin Laden, who this killed a whole lot of people. But where do they, such a huge courage, strong courage came from? Hatred came from? Many conditions make them hatred, make them, develop hatred, rise hatred in them. And then, for example, Saddam Hussein, they declare war on Iraq or whatever. Also, some, declare war, and maybe, some countries, the leader declare the war on other countries. Where do this hatred come from? With hatred, they declare war. Unaware of the result, unaware of the, destructive, huge, mass destructive. So they declare war. And where do this anger or hatred come from? It is the involvement of the many factors. And one is, who invented the awful viewpoints? Who invented these massive destructive viewpoints? So many people involved. So they don't have any kind of motivation to make the situation worse, but they involved in making these awful viewpoints, destructive viewpoints, and then money, profit, always thinking about profit, and profit involved, and then they sell each other countries. So all these things involved, we cannot pinpoint. Oh, you are the primary cause. So that's why His Holiness normally used to say, to have the better society, each individual has the, each individual should take the initiative. Because society is the collection of people. So it is the people made the things worse. It is the people who made the things better. So people means combination or the collection of individuals. So it finally depends on the individuals, each individuals. So again, everything, all the things, all the composite things, finally has its interconnectedness. We cannot break the law of interconnectedness in this 21st century. Even the clothes that I wear came from the work of, from the labor of many people. So whether it is a bad situation or worse situation, everything occurs as a purely result of the aggregation of the many factors, many conditions. And now the important thing is how to develop the conditions. What are the conditions for developing a positive qualities of mind? What are the conditions for arising, for developing? What are the conditions which make to develop the destructive emotions or problematic emotions? So the author is just simply trying to share his knowledge based on his vast sight and the far-sighted vision. Based on his far-sighted vision, the author is trying to share the reality. So with this, we finish discussing the verse 39 and 40. So with this, I conclude.